5 years and I'm finally done. This is perhaps the longest I've ever spent on a video. That's not me being overdramatic, that's just me being realistic. According to my sketchbook files, I've wanted to make this video since around 2017 when I made this image of the Eye of Onyx. Back then, we didn't know much about Onyx as Dragonets of Dragons was yet to be released, and that book was what propelled her into the spotlight. But some unique facets of her character just drew me to her. As more books were released and we learned more about her, I got dragged further in, but I've never felt like I've had enough material to make a full video on her until now, when I tried making a script for another video and it steadily began to devolve into a tangent about Onyx and how she breaks some of the world, and I decided I should write about that instead. So enjoy my ramblings on Onyx. Before we get started, if you are new to this channel, please think about subscribing. I regularly post both Wings of Fire and Warrior Cats content so you'll never be bored. And to my current subscribers, thank you so much for supporting me. I would have gone here without y'all. Let's get started on the first aspect of Onyx. She's a student. Onyx is a 19-year-old dragon attending Jade Mountain Academy, an all-grades academy that's supposed to teach friendship and also other things. In our world, nothing would be out of the ordinary. 19-year-olds are still in the final American public school system grade all of the time, whether they are regular senior or a super senior. However, in the Wings of Fire universe, it is a bit strange to be sure. As I went over in my Wings of Fire aging rant, which should be up before this video if I'm not lazy, maturity and aging in Wings of Fire can get a bit whack. But one thing that's been consistent is that the age of dragon maturity, where their aging begins to slow down, and that they are considered adults at, is the age of 7. Onyx is nearly triple that amount at the age of 19. I plugged her age into 4 different Dragon Age converters and got 30 to 33, 44, 56, and 31 in human years. I prefer to go with a more conservative estimate, so let's just say that she's 31. That means that she's old enough to be pushing papers in an office somewhere if she lived in our world, and she's currently hanging around with a bunch of teenagers instead. This entire thing felt off. I mean, why would the Dragonets of Destiny allow a dragon that old into their school? Even if they were accepting dragons who are uneducated, she's 31 and she shouldn't be hanging around with a bunch of 16-year-olds. Surely she was undercover, pretending to be much younger so she could stay under the radar. But a quick check disproved that to me. Beside her, Keebly was thinking the same thing about Turtle, but he turned instead towards the clump of sandwings who had found a stretch of flat gray boulders and were baking their scales in the sun. Sprawled comfortably in the middle of them was Onyx, whose black forked tongue kept flickering in and out. Seeing her with all the others, it was clear how much older and bigger she was. She was no dragonet. Moon couldn't understand why she was here. Even Moon Watcher's confused about this whole thing. But this doesn't confirm that the other dragons knew the true extent of her age. For that, I had to go down a few pages. Wow, Keebly said. I'm amazed you were able to avoid burned soldiers for so long. What are you, 20 years old? And without hiding in the Scorpion Den either. At least, I don't remember you being there. 19, Onyx said. And no, we stayed away from the Scorpion Den too. She's not even trying to keep her age a secret, which would have been the better move in my opinion. And I can't understand why Tui didn't make her hide her age. Even worse than having a 19-year-old dragon around dragons with ages in the single digits is the implications. That the Dragonets of Destiny allowed Onyx to come into the school, fully knowing how old she is. Why would a dragon that old be interested in hanging around dragonets, if not to teach them or because they are family members? Nothing good, that's the answer, and Onyx only proves it as she kidnapped Palm. Editor Rogan here. I wanted to take this second to acknowledge that yes, Jade Mountain is a school for friendship, so she was allowed to be in there so she could make friends. People of different age groups and maturities can be friends. I have friends who attend college, and I am still in high school. However, if you are constantly hanging out with people dramatically below your age range, and not anyone around the same age range, that is strange. Onyx is doing just that, as Jade Mountain Academy isn't just a school, it's a stay-away school. Wait a second, iSchool asked for a private room and was denied one, and told JMA doesn't do that. So was Onyx? Well, that's disturbing, and I do not want to think about that. So moving along. The kidnapping of Palm was entirely preventable if the Dragonets just asked a few questions and did the bare minimum of keeping a dragon 3 times their own age away from Dragonets. That's right, Onyx is also 3 times the age of the Dragonets of Destiny in case you've forgotten. The fact that she was allowed in makes us question the judgment of the Dragonets of Destiny. It's very uncharacteristic of them to do, especially Tsunami, who's incredibly thorny and overprotective, and Sunny, who's a built-in bullshit detector at this point. It makes me think that maybe the Dragonets of Destiny shouldn't be running a school if they're so irresponsible, and if the school is so dangerous. I mean, the first 5 months of it running manifested a bombing attack, a kidnapping, a legendary evil dragon rising from the grave, a plague that ravaged a tribe, and a whole war. Onyx being allowed in isn't a one-off incident. It's a sign of a larger problem, and a miracle that things didn't get worse than it did. With the other examples, they can be excused because the Dragonets cannot see the future. I mean, who would have predicted Darkstalker? But Onyx is entirely on them. Once again, she's 19, nearly 3 times the age of dragon maturity. Her wanting to be a student there should be a red flag. The Dragonets of Destiny are barely adults themselves though, and are also dealing with the trauma of what happened to themselves, so I won't go too harsh on them. But seriously, why would Onyx be interested in school for anything other than bad reasons? I feel like the full implications of all that happened to the school are never dealt with in canon. Where is the backlash from all the death that has happened there? Oh wait, we know where the backlash is, and there is no backlash. In fact, the school is more popular than ever, with Snowfall lamenting that the Icewing Dragonets can't get enough of the school, despite an Icewing Dragonet being targeted by a hit list while there. It really breaks my suspension of disbelief. It makes me wonder why Jade Mountain Academy is still operating, which I don't think was 2E's intent at all. Onyx ends up breaking apart what we know about the Dragonets and making them seem incompetent at best because they maybe somehow didn't ask Onyx's age, and allowing a possible predator into their school at the worst because they knew her age. We are supposed to trust the Dragonets and see them as immoral, but Onyx makes them look terrible. Thus, Onyx breaks our intended perception of the world and the world. That's the end of the justification of the title, but I still have a bit more I'd like to say on Onyx, so feel free to stick around a bit longer if you want. Section number 2. Onyx has so much lost potential. Onyx is a lost princess descended from Prince Smolder, but we start off not knowing that about her, and what we do know is that Moon can't read her thoughts. We eventually learn the reason why is because of her Skyfire, which Moon is able to disarm her of by creating an impromptu show and tell, and having it be passed around the circle. Moon learns from Onyx's thoughts that despite not being the firebombing dragon they are looking for, Onyx is sinister and has subversive plans. In the next book, she's featured in the epilogue meeting with a mysterious ally. We are able to hear her thoughts from Darkstalker, who is able to read them because Onyx conveniently decided to take off her Skyfire necklace right beforehand. It's a small thing in the grand scheme of the books, but the sheer luck annoys me. Onyx gets upset with the ally and alleges that she'll have to take things into her own claws in order to become queen if Vulture doesn't pull through. I'd have really enjoyed to see that, but it doesn't happen in the series. I feel like that's a major red herring, and it surprises me even more that we never get to see that when the event teased in the epilogue of an enemy possibly going and trying to kill her mother came to fruition. Later, she kidnapped Ostrich from JMA. We don't get to see her at the Talons of Power compound, which in my opinion is yet another missed opportunity to flesh her out even more. The next time we see her, she tries to take out Thorn. First, she tries to take her out when she's not looking. She's stopped and explains that she is royalty and Smolder's secret child and she wants the throne. There's some unfortunate implications that her being Smolder's long-lost daughter has. One of those is that she's around the same age as Thorn, Smolder's current romantic interest. I checked and Thorn is estimated to be around 20 and Onyx is 19. It's kind of weird to date someone almost the same age as your child, even if they are an adult. But they both are consenting adults, so I'm not going to pass any big judgments on that. Back to the plot, she attempts to challenge Thorn, however is interrupted by a sandstorm caused by Keebly. She and Smolder evacuate to the dungeons where they find Prickle. It's heavily implied that at some point while they were down there, Smolder may have injured Onyx's leg on purpose to prevent her from challenging Thorn in the future, which is incredibly messed up. But then again, Onyx trying to kill Thorn outside ritual combat in such a cowardly manner is messed up, and proves she would not give up until she was queen, as she promised herself in Winter Turning. Overall, Onyx is an incredible character who I'm glad I took some time to cover after all of these years of looking at her. She's a bit of a world-breaking character, as her existence at Jade Mountain Academy makes one question Dragonets of Destiny. She's also a character who I feel like has a lot of wasted potential. She's incredibly ruthless, and whilst we got to see her act on that from her cowardly attacks, I can't help but feel like she never lived up to her potential. She could have been a villain like Scarlet who occasionally just pops up and tries to challenge Storm for the throne, or she could even make her own little kingdom in the Scorpion Den. Who knows, maybe she'll come back in some way. I really hope she does. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe. I make Wings of Fire and Warrior Cats videos pretty often, and your support would mean a lot to me. And to those who've already subscribed, thank you for your continued support. I would have gone here without y'all. Peace, Rogan out.